Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome on in, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Happy Wednesday to you. Is it a win ticket Wednesday today? Oh, yes, it is. I'm pretty sure we have some Monster Jam tickets coming your way this hour. Or today. Okay? So win ticket Wednesday. I've been pumped about this because it's been basically the... If you've never gone to Monster Jam, you have to figure this out.
It's a blast.
And for some reason now, the athletes, is that what we call them?
Monster Mutt Dalmatian is an athlete?
They've gotten more. I will say that these things are doing, these machines, these monster trucks are doing crazier stuff than you've ever seen. So we've got tickets to Monster Jam to give away throughout the show today. Well, throughout the station today, we're going to do it, I'd say probably around the 4:30 time frame. So stay tuned. We've got those Monster Jam tickets to give away. In the meantime, JJ, what's up? You got your Beavis and Butthead shirt on.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a Wednesday. Getting a little loose here.
Mike Judge, dude.
Yeah.
Underrated comedy guy. Look, I get it. King of the Hill, first of all, phenomenal show. Beavis and Butthead paved the way for I don't know what, a bunch of weirdness in my youth. But like the characters, the vibe with that whole thing.
It was the most 90s thing ever, right?
Mike Judge gave us
Stoners watching music videos is the most 90s thing ever.
Mike Judge gave us Office Space. Mike Judge gave us Idiocracy. Mm-hmm. These are formidable, movies in my mind. These are things that you should tell your kids about when they're of age.
Important contributions to the pop culture of this country.
Welcome to Costco. I love you. Oh my gosh. And the sad thing about Idiocracy is so many of the things are now truisms. Mm-hmm. The stuff that he was predicting in the future of how dumb we've become. Here we are.
We have arrived.
Welcome to Costco. I love you. I'm just so sad that that's not what the greeters say at Costco. How have we not gotten to that point? Come on.
Maybe some do.
Producer Alex, are you doing okay in there? Everything good?
Everything's good, man.
All right.
We get tomorrow off.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I guess we should announce that, yes.
We will not be here tomorrow.
We'll be celebrating Juneteenth. We will not be here.
I'll tell you what we're going to be doing is, well, it's not like we're the one. Settle down, you guys. It's not like we're abandoning the station here. DJ and PK are going to not go first, and then we're all going to not go after them, okay? That's how it goes. Those guys, if they're out, we're out too, all right? So, yes, we will not be there tomorrow. We're running some Fox Sports Radio. In the meantime, we've got ourselves quite the show today. We're going to have...
Before we get to the cut, do we need to do some breaking news?
We got to hit the old breaking news sounder. Yes, checks notes. I don't love going to this news desk, but JJ, sitting firmly at the purple and gold Lakers breaking news desk, what do you have for us?
When we're done with this breaking news, we will burn that desk down to the ground. Anything with Lakers on it. The Buss family is entering an agreement to sell majority ownership of the Los Angeles Lakers to Mark Walter, the CEO and chairman of diversified holding company TWG Global, sources tell ESPN. Jeannie Buss, though, will continue to serve in her role as governor after the sale. Now, you're asking yourself, what's TWG Global? They also own the LA Dodgers, the Los Angeles Sparks, and many other entities. But the owners of the LA Dodgers have now entered a deal to become majority owners of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, Jeannie Buss is still going to operate the team.
Yeah.
She'll be the governor. Isn't that funny? Like, did we grow up with governors of teams, by the way, JJ? I don't think we had governors of teams.
You know why that was changed.
Why do we call it that?
Because people were uncomfortable calling these primarily white owners of primarily teams that had whose players were primarily black. You understand why they had to...
Interesting.
That's why they say governor now instead of owner.
Well, Well, so she's going to be, but she's also not owning the team. So she's going to be governing the team from.
Yeah. And governors sound like
I will say
she's going to govern.
Here's what I'm going to say. Jeannie Buss worked out a heck of a deal because I think that they probably really wanted to not have her run anything. And maybe it's just in name, but the Los Angeles Lakers being sold to the Los Angeles Dodgers. There you go. Not to the Dodgers, but for the people who own the Dodgers. But they've been a minority owner for I don't know how long, a lot of years.
2021.
Right? So I think this is the. By the way, guess who's in this group? Isn't
Magic Johnson?
Isn't Magic Johnson in the same group?
I swear he is.
Yeah. So another win for Magic. Magic gets himself. He's showing up. He's got a piece of. Now this one makes the most sense. If you're Magic Johnson and you own a piece of a team that you played on, and again, if they were minority owners, then he already had a chunk of it anyway. So, but I want to know what Magic Johnson's. Hey, Alex, producer. Net worth of Magic Johnson? Any guesses on net worth? Don't do it yet. Just a guess. I'm going to say $1.7 billion. JJ, your guess?
He is a billionaire. I'll put it at 2.
Okay, $2 billion.
Okay,
Hey,
close.
we both were over according to the rules of Price is Right, so we both lose. Okay, so
it's incredible how successful Magic Johnson has been as a business.
he like got it. Him and Shaq, they're like, I got it on the floor with Starbucks. You're like, all right, there you go. So there you go.
Papa John's.
The Lakers, I don't know if that's going to do anything.
Yeah, by the way, yes, Magic Johnson is he is a part of TWG Global.
Look,
he's a member of the Guggenheim Consortium.
Yeah, so if you're in the Ring of Honor at the if your jersey's up in the rafters at Crypto Arena and you're part of the ownership group, that's a cool day for you. So I'm glad. I'm glad for them. I'm glad that somebody saw that. I don't know. Is this a result of anything? I know that they want to buy. The Lakers are the most valuable franchise in the entire NBA. So it's a good one to buy into, okay?
No question.
The question is, what does it do from a day-to-day standpoint? Do the Lakers suddenly become even more relevant? Do they become more competitive because of ownership change, or is it just business as usual?
It's just money.
Okay.
The Lakers' valuation is now at $10 billion.
No, it's not. Wow. Well, where does that put everything
The
else?
Celtics were at $6 billion.
Yeah, did they get bought for 6.5? Isn't that what it ended up being?
I believe the last 3 NBA franchises that were sold, Lakers, Celtics, Suns. These are the latest. A lot has happened in the world with inflation, etc. The Phoenix Suns are valuated at $4 billion. The Celtics $6 billion. Those are the sales, and now it's $10 billion for the Lakers.
Okay, here we go.
That's insane.
Lakers have been sold, and I assume to just be broken up and and scattered across the league.
Are they going to move the Lakers?
Oh yeah, man.
Move them to Vegas.
I heard Nashville's a big time city. People love that place.
Move the Lakers to Nashville.
All right, let's get under the way here. What do we say? Let's get the show underway here. Let's get going. G2D Bars, of course, brings you the program. G2D Bars, perfect protein bar. Give it a shot. Costco Holiday Oil, Maverick, Associated Foods, all in the refrigerated section. Give it a shot today. Let's kick the program off as we always do. It's The Cut right here, top of the hour.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the program. Your trusted local financial fiduciaries in retirement. The website is TrajanWealth.com, TRAJAN Wealth.com. The Big Ten and the SEC. We went back and forth with this last night when we were we like to send each other either ideas or very stupid memes, and sometimes the stupid memes end up being part of the program. Okay? Mostly stupid memes. Thank you, producer Alex. Appreciate that. The Big Ten and the SEC are still at an impasse when it comes to what the college football playoff meetings are. And according to Brett McMurphy, they are starting totally from scratch again and to try to figure out the 2026 college football playoff format. Now, I remember there being some sort of a soft timeline, might even be a hard timeline, because ESPN's like, dude, you can't leave us in the lurch here. We have to have quite a bit of lead time here so we can understand what's going to be going on with the college football playoff format in 2026. Okay? Obviously, this year, I don't know. No. the 16-team format starts after this next season.
Correct. It would be 2026.
So the thing that there's
start it.
2026, but the championship game 2027. Right. Okay.
Yes.
So the 2026 season,
Yes.
starting from there, they haven't come up with anything. The 4 automatic qualifiers has been shot down by the conferences after they initially had liked the idea. I think the Big Ten pushed back and said, no, we changed our mind. The 2 that went to the ACC and the Big 12, they didn't love that. But the ACC and the Big 12 have apparently now, after that initial pushback, the SEC has said, we prefer that automatic qualifier for the champion plus the 11 at-large format for the 16-team playoff. Now, we've talked about this. The SEC says, come on, we want to get those 4 automatic qualifiers. Now, if they have the 4 automatic qualifiers, that's the cap, right? Would there be other at-large bids on top of the automatic qualifiers? Or it's 4 per conference, 4 per, it's 4 for the big?
You can get more.
So
that was the controversy.
So there was 2 more.
The Big 12 and the ACC don't like it because they'd be locked in at 2, and the likelihood of their teams getting in as an at-large over an SEC or Big 10 team, slim to none, right?
But the model that they had with 4
AQs in the Big 10 and the SEC.
So then you've got 8 there. Then you've got 2 to the ACC, 2 to the Big 12. Now you're sitting at 10.
Right.
So then you've got 6. Then you have the G5 champion.
That's 11.
So then you're talking about those other 5 automatic
and Notre Dame
at large.
So then it becomes Notre Dame in 4.
Yeah,
there'll
Notre
be
Dame
4 at-large berths available in the 16-team model.
They want the 5 plus 11 because I think, and honestly, you had the Big Ten at their meeting say, we don't love it, but we prefer that over the 2 automatic qualifiers. The SEC and the Big Ten are looking at this and they're going, yeah, you know what? We should do the 5 plus 12 or the 5 plus 11. There are others who want that straight 16 model. The SEC and the Big Ten, I think, have gotten together and they crunched the numbers and they looked at what the past looked like, and they realized that there could be seasons that they could have 6 or even 7 teams in if they play their cards right, right? So a year that the SEC has 6 teams get in or 7 teams get in, and maybe the Big Ten only gets 4 in that year.
Last year they could have 7, right?
I think it was 6.
We determined Alabama, South Carolina, and Ole Miss would have got in. BYU would have been the last team out in a 16-team model last season.
Yeah, it may have been. I don't know if last year was one of them, but there were, I think, instances in the last 10. There were like 3 instances where they would have had 7 in. So that's what they want. That's what they want is that they go,
which means more money.
Give me,
and as long as they keep bringing in the most money, that gives them the power.
Look, the thing is you can't argue with. What you can't argue with is wins and losses. What you can't argue with is, I think we all know that the top of the Big Ten and the top of the SEC are better football generally across the board.
Well,
I think
that's
we can
where
agree.
The best teams in college football lie right now.
I'm not willing to concede that they are the only things, which is what they assert, right? We'll throw you a pithy kind of the problem is if you're the Big 12, and if you're the ACC, in the format that you had last year, I think that the ACC would have had SMU, Miami, and maybe Clemson, or was
Clemson was an automatic qualifier
because they won, right?
Correct.
Right. But if it was like that, because Clemson I think was 18 or 19 on the final rankings, or 17,
they were an
maybe.
automatic, it would have pushed someone else out.
And so that's the part that's really awkward. So the ACC would have gotten 3 in last year, and the Big 12 would have still only had 1.
Yep.
This should frighten you, Big 12 fans, because that is the reality of what a 16-team playoff would have looked like last year. The ACC would have had all the spoils. And you've been told all this time that the ACC is not as strong as you, Big 12, right? That's what we've heard a lot of. Clemson, Miami, SMU had a crazy year suddenly, right? Those aren't teams that we typically think are going to be, well, Clemson for sure, but I think we all knew that Miami didn't feel like they got the vibe, or that they got all the attention that they should have gotten, right? So in the end, you're going to see them start over. So there is a deadline for finalizing it. It's for December 1st. So what's going to be happening throughout this season and throughout the rest of the summer when these guys get together, you're going to see an amazing back and forth of the negotiations of these conferences, because you are putting your elbows out right now. And I don't know how long that contract will last, JJ. Typically, how long would a college football playoff format with a 16-team format?
4 years, 5 years?
You'll be stuck in absolute football playoff purgatory.
They might even go up to 32, which is, I think, when the TV deals come up.
Which would make sense,
Right.
right? So you're talking about a 6-year stretch where you would not be allowed to change a dang thing. And if your programs in your conference are not up to snuff, or more importantly, if the committee makes decisions that are difficult, that are not in favor of your conference, this will be a long 6 years. Let me tell you what kind of money you miss out on, by the way, if teams don't get in from your conference. There is a massive amount of money that gets shared among the teams that are in and participating in the college football playoff. It's a huge part of what you do. Also, if you are recruiting inside the Big 12 and you say, we got a team in the we had as many teams in the college football playoff as the G5 champions got. If Boise State has more appearances than Texas Tech or Baylor or BYU or Utah in the going forward of the way that this college football playoff is set up going forward, you will feel like you got slighted, like you were sold a bill of goods and you've been cheated. I don't know what the reality is of the answer except for by saying the Big 12 needs to get better. That's the bottom line. If they won more games.
100%.
If they won more games. So let me tell you what Texas Tech is doing by spending money on the recruits that they're doing. It might be an investment that is massively important to the rest of the conference. You cheer on the money that's pouring into these schools. You might look at it like a competitive advantage right now, like how we're going to compete with Texas Tech. You're not competing with Texas Tech. You are for a Big 12 championship maybe that year or for some recruits here and there. The reality is from a long-term perspective, hear me out, you're competing against the Big Ten and the SEC. You've got to win those close battles when the committee says, should we take number 16 Utah? Or should we make Utah number 16? Or should we let Ole Miss with 4 losses be number 16? What do you think, Mike? You know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, what do you think? I'm just a poor Southern boy from Oxford, Mississippi. You know me. I don't really have a feeling one way or the other. But ladies and gentlemen, if I may, right? And then it turns into something that we don't want to see.
I'm just an unfrozen caveman commissioner. My primitive mind doesn't grasp these concepts.
Your college football playoff frightens me. I don't think that you understand from the long-term perspective. I'm not trying to go doom and gloom here. The reality is that if these programs get their crap together and can compete, right? If Baylor can figure out how to be better than 8-5 on a year in and year out basis.
The whole conference felt like it was 8-5 last year, right?
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I know they weren't, but it just felt like everybody beat up on each other.
But like by the end, did you really feel like even that Iowa State squad was like,
no.
Man, they're
no.
That's the conference's best foot forward. We knew at the end Matt Campbell's team was like kind of hanging out by a thread, it felt like. So in my mind, this is one of those things that just doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know. It's just one of those moments where we have a real problem when it comes to trying to plan these things out.
There's
future.
dates that will help you with that. Let me share some of those with you. ESPN's deal with the college football playoff runs through the 2031-32 season. So as you mentioned, 2032 is going to be a very important year. Now, the ACC, their media rights deal goes through 2036, and I believe the SEC goes through 34. But the Big 12 comes up in 31. The Big Tens comes up in 30. Those two things could cause another ripple of college football realignment. Because, once again, those conferences are going to be in negotiation for a media rights deal that moves beyond 2030 and 2031. Is there going to be another shakeup or movement? Or is that the point when some of these conferences look at and say, okay, well, let's finally break away with this major college football semi-pro conference, whatever you want to call it.
No, it's the college football semi-pro conference. I like it. College football. So
now
CFSP.
I don't know if there's a good year to do that because all these conferences, their deals are up in different years. Like I said, ACC 2036, SEC 34, Big 12 31, Big 10 30. But you can see how things could shift and shake up before that 2032 contract with ESPN comes up. As to your point with the conference, yeah, you can't. If you're in a situation right now, if you're the Big 12 or the ACC, you're sick and tired of the Big 10 and the SEC. You know, with these power, I don't know what we call it, power trips. You got to go out there and prove on the field and on the court and at whatever surface you're playing a sport on that you're better than them. Otherwise, you have to accept the fact that you don't deserve as much. Start proving it out on the field. Like, start winning big. How many teams? Who was the Final Four last year? It was the Big 10 and the SEC, right?
Yeah.
It was a Big 10 and SEC Invitational, the first college football playoff.
Yep.
All the Arizona State didn't win. I mean, they had a nice game. It was pretty entertaining.
The Cinderella story that was Ohio State.
Didn't win. Boise State
got
flop. Crushed.
Yeah.
Even Indiana is like this is nice to
That's
see
kind
a
of
new
a
team in
fun
there.
deal. Kurt Signetti, you're cool.
They got
blown
blasted.
Up.
So
Yes.
it ends up being the Big 10, the SEC, and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Like everybody would have, all the experts would say, and the SEC and the Big 10 and Notre Dame love that.
These conferences have been built, by the way, to be successful in that model that we were just talking about and in the model that's going forward.
Yeah.
Regardless of it being a straight 16, a 5+11, the reality is that somebody got to them and said, you guys aren't looking at these numbers right. The 4 automatic qualifiers, that's not good enough. Essentially, we'll be a good enough conference going forward. This is what their thought is. If you're the SEC, this is what they think. We're a good enough conference going forward that we will get 7 teams in. And if it's a 4 automatic qualifier, I don't think that that's the case. You'll get the 4 AQs and then maybe 1 or 2 at max. And they are like, we will get 7 in some years, and the Big 12 will get 1, or the ACC will get 1. I mean, is Miami going to be good enough next year to be in that conversation again? Carson Beck, I don't know. Is SMU going to be having? I guarantee SMU doesn't have the same season this year that they did last year.
It's going to be tough to match that.
Were they 11-1 before they finally lost that game against
the heartbreaker against
Clemson?
Syracuse? Syracuse knocked them out?
Yeah. Either way, it's an interesting thing to look at. And if you're the Big 12, you're just hoping that you can get. I don't know what the baseline is, JJ. What's like the bare minimum if you're the Big 12? What do you want to get in? 3? Are you feeling good about 3? You've only been good enough to get 1 in, like, so far.
I think the commissioner's doing the right thing by just trying to fight for as much as he can get. What's reality and what is your wish? I think there's a big gap there. And until, like we've talking about, until the Big 12 goes out and has a couple heavy hitters at the top go do something really big like win a national championship, you need a repeat of what TCU did 3 years ago. You need a TCU. Doesn't have to be TCU. It might be TCU. Somebody, maybe it's Texas Tech, maybe it's BYU, maybe it's Utah. Whoever wants to, all comers, let's go. Go do something big.
How do these programs...
And you got to do it repeatedly because that's what the Big 10 and the SEC are doing. And if it annoys you that they run the show, well, they have every right to because they're dominating.
Their expectation is to be in the college football playoff. It's a failure of a year if you're at Alabama and you don't go to the college football playoff. Is it doctored
a little bit? Are they taking advantage? The 8 games conference schedule is ridiculous. Yeah, but they're getting away with it.
Yeah.
Go beat them in the postseason.
But again, they built that system so that they could have a better shot at the 14 playoff, and it worked even better for the 12-team playoff.
It did.
So, all right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got more to talk about. You have a Stanley Cup repeat champion. The Stanley Cup stays in South Florida as the Panthers absolutely put it on the Edmonton Oilers. Those poor Oilers, I don't know if they'll ever get back again to this spot. Can you keep losing like this with those 2 amazing players? Can you keep this roster together? That's what we're going to be chatting about next, so stay right here with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex with the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And Ekholm will swing it across to Bouchard into the neutral zone. Poked away. Here's Reinhardt heading in. Gets around Ekholm in front of shot. He scores! Sam Reinhardt as he was being pulled down. He beats Skinner top shelf. And the Panthers strike first here in Game 6. Now Barkov right side. Reinhardt to the open net. He scores! It's a hat trick here in Game 6 for Sam Reinhart. He cashes in on the empty net. 4-0 Panthers with 6:34 to play in the third. Now to Reinhart again to the empty net. Does it have the distance? It does. 4 for Sam Reinhart. He scores to make it 5-0 Panthers. Another empty netter with 5:05 to play here in the third. Down to the final 5 seconds. Rats rain down. Lord Stanley staying in South Florida. Last year was greatness. This time it's historic. The Florida Panthers are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions.
Oh, just about as cool of a call as you could get. How about 4 goals for Sam Reinhart?
He had so many goals, I stopped paying attention.
What did Jay Stevens tell us yesterday? 5-2.
He's close.
He was way off. No, he sucked.
Do better, Jay.
5-1. Come on. Could have done way better. 5-1. Your game clincher, your series clincher, your Stanley Cup clincher, Sam Reinhart with 4 goals. We were trying to figure out what that would mean. I asked if that was too much to call it like Reggie Jackson's 3 home runs in the World Series.
That's exactly what it is. Just this, like, how do you score 4 goals in a Stanley Cup final game? The game that clinches it all.
The game that wins it.
It's insane.
And then, of course, the historic run that Sam Bennett had put it even more poignantly that he wins the Conn Smythe Trophy because he had such a crazy playoff. And by the way, Brad Marchand, you could have easily said, hey, that guy is – I mean, he had a phenomenal playoff. Could they have won the Stanley Cup without him? Probably not.
No.
And it was –
He was key in that Leafs series.
Victor E. Rat out on the ice multiple times last night. Go back in time and talk to like one of the original managers, one of the original owners of like the Big Six. Get with somebody who like started out the Chicago Blackhawks and go, yeah, and it's crazy in 2025 when that team in Miami wins the Stanley Cup and they throw all those rats on the ice. You know how they do it? Excuse you?
Hockey's come a long way.
It sounds like an abomination. So, phenomenal year for Florida. What's crazy is at the beginning of all this, you remember when we talked to Bear Tourney, the head coach of the Utah Mammoth, before the playoffs started, and we asked him something impossible. We said, predict the winner of the Stanley Cup trophy, and he goes, those guys never love that kind of question. They're too close to the game to really make like a prediction based off of anything but guts. You remember what he said? The Tampa Bay Lightning. He goes, that's a team that could make a run, and they absolutely could have.
Yeah,
right.
If they would have been able to win that series, but they lost in 5 games to the eventual Stanley Cup champions.
And by the way, it just is crazy how the playoffs work. That a team like Tampa Bay, a team like Florida, we knew Florida was going to be good, but Bear had his thoughts on it because Tampa Bay has things that he felt like could have tripped up Florida, right?
They're not far removed from winning back-to-back cups themselves.
When we talked with Tim Reynolds about this the other day, what was it? It was the state of Florida accounts
won
for 4 out of the last 6.
4 out of the last 6.
That's
the Lightning
crazy.
won it in 2020 and 2021. The Avs and the Knights won in 22 and 23, and now the Panthers have won 24 and 25. Like you said, you imagine people back in the day with the original 6, people in Montreal back in 1968 when they were dominating or whatever, late 70s, and they woke up today in 2025, and they look at this list of Stanley Cup champions, and they're like, what?
They're like, that's crazy. But how'd the Nordiques do? Tell me that Hartford was at least giving somebody a run.
You mean the Whale aren't around anymore? What happened to the Whale?
The Columbus Blue Jackets. What the heck's a Blue Jacket, kid?
Seriously. The league has changed dramatically, and this is a sign of it. Now,
it's only
that's exciting for us.
It's only made it better. It's only made it better, though.
Of course it has.
Of course it has.
The league is better.
As it's ever been.
The sport is growing, and we are benefiting from that here in Utah, as we now have an NHL franchise because of that. And you're watching what is happening in Florida, both with the Lightning and the Panthers. The Stanley Cup going places that no one ever thought it would be. Why not here? Why not in Utah?
Yeah.
And you're watching that celebration last night for the first time. Well, we watched last year's celebration knowing we had a team, right? It hit different. It hit different because you're thinking about, okay, what could the Utah Mammoth do to make this happen? And then imagine being, 5 years ago, somebody in Utah thinking, there's no way we'd ever have a Stanley Cup here because we're never getting an NHL franchise. And now it's a reality. Like, this is something the Mammoth can go do. And I think that Ryan Smith is going to be highly motivated to provide the resources to do it. And I think you got a general manager who can build a Stanley Cup championship team. Because he's been part of it before. He was with the St. Louis Blues, who won the Cup in 2019. The parts are in place here to be able to do something like this. So watching it play out last night and watching an unlikely champion like the Florida Panthers, I'm telling you, they sucked forever.
Oh, yeah.
They were one of the most irrelevant pro sports franchises of the last 2 decades until 2022.
Yeah.
And they won something. They got like 120 points or something a season. They lost in the first round. And everyone's like, it was just a flash in the pan. Well, the next year, they're the 8th seed, and they end up making a run to the Stanley Cup final, and they lose to the Knights. Ever since then, they've dominated this league. And they've got guys like Sam Bennett, who couldn't do a pull-up at the NHL Draft Combine in 2013, 14.
Yes.
And now he's the Conn Smythe winner. Like, it's just crazy to see how it all came together for them. It's an interesting story now that we are all in on this NHL stuff to watch how these teams were built. What you saw play out last night, all that started a decade ago with a draft in 2014, 2015, when Draisaitl and McDavid and several of these Panthers players were drafted. And it's cool to see it come together now. It takes time. The Panthers had to be patient. They got the right guy to lead it, the Zito guy, who's just unbelievable. It all came together for them. So now we're dreaming of a Stanley Cup here because we have an NHL team. You watch the Florida Panthers do it, and it gives you hope that they could happen here too.
Okay, so I can't do a pull-up. Could I get the Conn Smythe trophy?
Same. I got a little bit too much weight I have to carry over that bar.
Oh,
I got to do something about that.
That was the thing that kept me from the top level of the Presidential Fitness Award when I was a kid growing up.
Oh, climbing the rope?
Oh my gosh, what were we doing?
I hated. I had long legs and arms, and
the Presidential Fitness Award.
Climbing a rope wasn't my
like on bronze
my forte.
level. Bronze level. Alex Kirry, get up here.
Bronze level.
Chubby kid, get up here. Okay, early Stanley Cup odds.
Sweet.
You ready for this?
Yes.
The Edmonton Oilers. It depends on the sports book, but most have the Edmonton Oilers plus 650. They have the best odds right now. The Carolina Panthers, what's interesting to me about all this is that the Carolina Panthers are in a couple of the other sports books, they're the favorite.
The Hurricanes or the Panthers?
Sorry. No, Carolina.
Okay.
Carolina.
Hurricanes.
Sorry. What did I say? The Carolina
I said
Panthers?
Panthers.
That's a football team, Kirry.
It is.
Come on.
The National Football League.
But the Carolina Hurricanes are considered the favorites coming out of the East.
And they are very good.
They are. But, like, why? Why are we making that decision? I don't know.
So why aren't the Panthers better odds? I can tell you. They have a lot of free agents, including Sam Bennett and Ekblad. I think there's another key one there. They got to find a way to pay their guys.
So
and if they do, then those odds will change dramatically.
Okay, so if you're wondering where this so far, because I was really looking today, I was like, there's got to be some playoff odds. Somebody's already set the 2026 playoff odds, right? They haven't set overall like who's going to make the playoff odds yet, but they have set the Stanley Cup odds. So here you go. Let me give you the top teams right here. So according to this one, the Hurricanes, the one I'm looking at here on MGM, the Hurricanes are the best odds, then the Panthers, then the Oilers, then the Avalanche, then the Stars, Golden Knights, Lightning, New Jersey Devils. Now, if you're wondering where, because they gave odds to all teams, and all of those teams, I think the ones that I read off all the way down to there, the Winnipeg Jets are considered a dark horse at plus 2,500. Which is about 11th best odds overall. So there's a handful of teams that are like in that category. Yeah. The Utah Mammoth are in the plus 4,000 category, which is 400 to 1. type, or 40 to 1 odds. So 40 to 1 odds for the Mammoth to win the Stanley Cup, not to make the playoffs. I will say that is right there with the Blues, same exact number as the Blues. And if we were to just go and put the playoffs together based on the odds of them winning the Stanley Cup, they are 3 spots ahead of where they ended this last year.
Okay.
That would put them
into
the playoffs.
They have some money to use, so they might be able to increase their odds here shortly.
Well, I'm stretching it. I mean, I'm like, so you're telling me there's a chance in a very, very weird way, a weird roundabout way, at least according to this. But if you ask anybody, I think I like the Mammoth's chances of being something about doing something in the playoffs. You know,
just got to get bigger and more physical up front. I'm not saying like overhaul. I'm saying like 1 or 2 dudes.
Yeah,
and that could put them over the top.
Think about adding another sharpshooter to Dylan Gunther and Clayton Keller.
You need a center. You need to be physical. You need a little bit more offense. They didn't have any of the top scores in the league.
Think about how big the D-men are that they put that are coming over, right? That are coming up in through the system.
Yep.
Massive bodies, more physical. So we'll see how this works out, but can't help but be excited for the future of the NHL because it's pretty cool to watch. And I'm telling you, Utah, I was at that very arena this year watching a game between the Utah Mammoth and the Florida Panthers. And I'm sitting next to a guy. I'm like, this place is rocking, man. He goes, 5 years ago, the whole top section wasn't even open. They would only open the lower bowl 5 or 7 years ago. Now they're Stanley Cup champions. You will never get that. You will never lose that fan base now. You go back-to-back Stanley Cups. And I told you, too, I've never seen a fan base buy more authentic jerseys than I saw those people that night. You were absolutely embarrassing if you weren't wearing not just a Florida Panthers jersey, like the authentic ones. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. It's crazy how it's picked up. All right, we'll take a break here. We'll come back. We've got a Would You Rather right around the corner. It's a Wednesday edition of it. I've got tickets to give away to Monster Jam as well. You don't want to miss those. That's coming up next hour, part of our Win Ticket Wednesday. So stay here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody. Real-life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
Welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Hanson Scotty are going to be on the road on Friday from noon to 3 at Bar W Beef down there in in Nephi. Excuse me. Do not go to. You got a little bit further to go. If you just go to Lehigh, go to Nephi. That's where Bar W Beef is. Noon to 3. Hanson Scotty are going to be out there. A new state-of-the-art retail butcher shop supporting Utah farmers and ethical farming practices. All at supermarket prices going to get the best deal. So there you go. Bar W Beef only in Nephi, Utah.
Go hit them up when you go to the Ute Stampede next month.
Hey, there you go. They're like, what are you down here for? Well, I got to get some beef, and then I got to go watch the beef. I got to see what I'm going to eat later in the year. I scout them out early at the
You're really into meat if you're scouting your meat.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that guy's a really good cowboy. No. Did you see that? Did you see that bull he was on?
See that calf they just roped?
So tasty.
I mean, mighty tasty here from now.
Might need a little bit of tendering up.
Grass-fed, grass-finished.
Okay.
PETA. Bring it on, PETA.
Okay, PETA.
Hey, PETA.
I've got a would you rather here. It's an interesting one.
I'd rather eat beef.
I know. I went down a rabbit hole here, and bear with me because this is more of a quiz than it is a would you rather. The would you rathers are typically subjective. This one, I'm going to make you choose. It's basically a this or that, and you tell me what the reality is. The Los Angeles Lakers, the majority of the Lakers have been apparently agreed upon to be sold to a private equity firm, basically, right? And you said that they put the value at $10 billion?
That is the new value of the Lakers.
That's crazy. That's bonkers. Now, I have in front of me a list of the most valuable NFL franchises. We know the Cowboys are the most valuable. And Did you know that the
Aren't they
Rams
evaluated at $10 million as well?
they're over the $10 billion
They're
mark.
12.
That's what I was going to say but that's just the most recent like Forbes ranking. So
Right.
whoever's giving like these, I don't know if ChatGPT's like, I'll give you $10 billion, sure. Maybe the Cowboys are 12. I mean, honestly, if the Lakers are 10, then the Cowboys would be 12.
Probably.
If the Cowboys sold today, I bet it would be for $15 billion. The reality. That's the reality. That's how sports sales work, right? Now, I've got all the other teams in front of me in the NFL, okay? And you're going to tell me which one's more valuable. I'll give you two teams. You tell me which one's more valuable.
Okay.
The Green Bay Packers or the Houston Texans?
Houston Texans.
Houston Texans by $500 million, actually. The Houston Texans or the Miami Dolphins?
Dolphins.
The Miami Dolphins by a scant $100 million. I forget that the .1, like just the difference of just .1 actually is pretty significant.
Sure, some of those owners have that in their pocket.
The Chargers or the Browns?
Chargers.
The Browns are more valuable.
Really?
Yeah.
That surprises me.
I don't know how.
That surprises me.
The Browns or the Vikings?
Vikings.
The Browns.
Really? More than the
Yes.
Vikings?
Yes.
How is that possible?
Don't know. The Browns or the Ravens?
Browns.
The Browns. More valuable
my
than
lesson there,
than
you
the
see?
freaking Ravens.
Isn't that crazy? That
Okay.
used to be the Browns. What is going on
now,
here?
hold on a minute. Woo.
Blew my mind.
Okay, so the Browns or the Colts?
Colts.
The Browns.
More than the what?
The Browns. Seattle Seahawks or the Browns?
Seahawks.
Ooh, yep, you're right on that
Okay.
one. Yeah, the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are the Broncos.
The Broncos.
By .05. That's still $50 million.
Yeah.
But they are right next to each other on the list. It's 4 point. And by the way, the Seahawks would be, if the Broncos sold today, they'd be sold for $7 billion.
Yes.
And it has them listed
Weren't
here
they
at
sold
5.5.
for almost 5? 4.5 billion?
It was like
The
almost
Walton
6.
family, I
I thought.
believe?
No, yeah, it was almost 5. It was almost 5. So they haven't valued at 5.5.
They basically were bought by Walmart.
I bet they're 7 now.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's a crazy.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got more around the corner. Stay right here with us. When we return, we've got David Dwork, who's going to join us. Covers the Panthers for the hockey news. Going to get the vibe as to what it was like last night to watch all those Victor E. Rats thrown onto the ice in sunshine? Sunrise. We found out it was sunrise yesterday. Sunrise, Florida. We'll talk to David Dwork next. Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us today. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Look, now that we are the home of the Utah Mammoth, hockey is now live. Let me tell you how it goes at my house, JJ. We have these miniature plastic goals and the little Franklin mini plastic sticks, and it's all my boys do during these games when we watch them.
That's great.
And it's just we have a big long tile area. We take the little running carpet off of it, and they are sliding back and forth on that thing on their socks, and
Okay.
they have no shot when I'm in goal, by the way. No shot. All right? So that's what it's turned into.
You need to take it one step further. You need to get them out on the ice with some skates.
I know. We got to do it. We got to do it.
They're
we got
young,
this,
it'll be perfect
We got all
time.
these youth development programs. I want to say, hey, you can be the next whatever version of this Florida Panthers team is. 10 years ago, of course, maybe even 7 years ago, this Florida Panthers team was looked at, and the franchise knew that they were kind of looking around going, not a lot of people in the seats. We got to kind of figure this thing out. Our program brought to you by G2G Bars, by the way. All natural ingredients and no preservatives. Make the protein bar, the G2G Bar, the perfect protein bar. Let's get into it here. The cut, the top of the hour, brought to you by Doug Smith Dealerships at American Fork, Spanish Fork, and in Linden. Joining us on the program right now is Dave Dwork. He covers the Florida Panthers for The Hockey News. He's been on the program before. Dave, thanks for being with us today, man.
No, thanks for having me back on, fellas.
Oh, what's like the number of Victor E. Rats that end up on the ice by the end, do you think? I mean, if you were to kind of just give a guess, on a normal night, there's one number, but on a Stanley Cup clinching night, the Victor E. Rats must have been out in force.
Yeah, there was probably at least a couple hundred varied different sizes, shapes, some of them covered in beer, some of them covered in ice. May or may not have been walking around plucking a couple off the ice for my kids, and
there you go.
Threw a few back that were less than favorable, but I mean they were caught in the netting above the glass. They were everywhere. It was raining rats for sure.
Can you describe what that's like? People here in Utah now, this is something that could actually happen here, and so I think people are really curious. You're there down, you get to witness all this. It's 2 years in a row they've been able to experience this. What's it like to watch a team celebrate a Stanley Cup?
It's hard to describe, especially after seeing them come up short the year before in 2023 in Vegas when, so much of the team was just decimated by injury. So to see kind of how this team has evolved and built into something and such a cohesive unit, and we talk a lot about how just great of a locker room it is and the camaraderie that they have built in that room. So to see them come together and it was really something that I'm happy that I was able to be a part of and to witness. Seeing it now year over year and kind of the maturation of how they've become a team, become champions, and now back-to-back champions, and just the way that they carry themselves. It's incredibly unique, especially in this day and age where you just don't see teams have that kind of sustainable success. And then when you combine that with what I said before about how it's just so many great guys in that locker room, it's just been really cool to see come about.
Compared to last year, I mean, obviously it was a weird series last year because you go up 3-0 if you're the Panthers on this same Edmonton Oilers team. And then the Oilers scratch and crawl and get back to it, and then they end up losing that in that ultimate Game 7, so that the Panthers did end up clinching. But this was an extremely this Oilers group was, getting better through the playoffs, fortified by the idea of, hey, we're not going to let that happen. We don't know when we're going to get back, but this is our chance. We got a couple of the best players on the entire planet. How is it that this Edmonton Oilers team, what is it that made them fall short? Is it just as simple as saying that their goaltending let them down in this series?
No, I think a lot of it is just it's really hard to keep up with the Panthers team. They play a style of hockey that's incredibly hard to go against, particularly in a 7-game series because it's so physically demanding. And credit to Edmonton, they marched through the Western Conference playoffs. They looked like a powerhouse team. Both teams looked better than they did last year when the final began. And Edmonton, they should have had plenty of confidence that they did things to the Panthers no one else had done. They came back from a 2-goal deficit to win in Game 1. They came back from a 3-goal deficit to win in Game 3. Game 4, these incredible overtime games that played out. Like it was, the first few games we were talking about, is this one of the best Stanley Cup finals that we've ever seen? And then Florida kind of pulled away towards the end. And I think the combination of the overtime games, the extra minutes, and how heavy they were utilizing McDavid and Draisaitl, combine that with just how physical the Panthers play against you. And it just seemed like the Oilers ran out of gas, and they looked much less formidable in Games 5 and Game 6 than they did earlier in that series. And I think that's just a testament to how difficult it is to try to keep up with this Panthers team in a 7-game series.
3 straight Cup appearances, 2 straight Stanley Cup victories. The Panthers feel like the makings of a dynasty, but in the NHL, it's really hard to win a cup. No one's won 3 in a row since the Islanders won 4 in a row back in 1980, in the early 80s. What do the Panthers have to do to be able to pull that off next year?
Stay healthy, get another great year from a aging Sergei Bobrovsky, who seems like he's drinking from the fountain of youth because he has shown zero signs of any kind of aging. Forget about it. He looks just as good. He looked just as good in this final as he has the last several playoffs, and he's going to be 37 years old next season. So, if Bob can continue to be Bob and the Panthers don't get decimated by injuries, because if you look at the roster, there's so many guys that are going to be coming back next year. And even the holes that they've had to fill over the last several years, every year Bill Zito finds a way to bring in guys because there are plenty of hungry players that would love to come play for the Panthers, have a great year, and then cash in a la, the Brendan Montours, the Oliver Ekman Larsons of the world, guys that came to Florida not as, certainly not as high reputable, and then boom, they can either choose to stay and take a team-friendly deal like a lot of the guys have, like Carter Hagee, Sam Reinhart, Gus Forsling, or they can go out in the free agent market and cash in. And it's really win-win for everybody because Bill Zito he's an incredibly intuitive general manager. Between him and Paul Maurice, they've got their finger on the pulse of this team so well that there's no reason for anybody not to be confident that they'll be able to fill any holes that pop up.
Are there holes that could pop up with free agency, or do they feel pretty confident they can keep guys like Sam Bennett and others in the fold?
I mean, potentially. They're right now the three big names that are going to be free agents are Sam Bennett, you mentioned, Aaron Ekblad, the top pairing right-hand shooted defenseman, and then Brad Marchand, who came within a whisker of winning the Conn Smythe Trophy after an incredible trade deadline acquisition by Florida there. So there is a path for Florida to keep all three, but they're all, as I mentioned before, guys have made it a trend to take team-friendly deals, and will these guys all fall in line? It's possible. Aaron Ekblad has made no secret about how much he wants to stay in Florida and retire a Florida Panther. And Sam Bennett as well. Like he has a great relationship with Bill Zito. He's very happy living in South Florida. And I think these players understand that what they're doing is just so unique and it's just so hard to come by that do you really want to take a little bit of extra money just to go somewhere and leave something that comes along every few, maybe once a generation, a team in a situation like this. So should a hole pop up, and you would think, like just for example, if Aaron Ekblad signs elsewhere, suddenly Florida, while they have a very deep defensive core, you're missing a top pairing guy who Paul Maurice said over and over this year when he was out of the lineup, how important he was to Florida's 5-man defensive game and keeping things very sustained. So I'm definitely curious to see how it plays out and what Zito has to do should any of those guys not end up re-signing. But as I said, he's done, his track record would indicate nothing that he's not going to be able to fortify Florida's lineup with, whatever options he has.
The parity in the NHL is unmatched when it comes down to it. I mean, the reality is Florida winning, people knew how good of a team they were, and it's really hard to run into a buzzsaw like that. But at the same time, the NHL is so competitive, and the playoffs become its own thing as well. And so the Panthers getting that win makes it even more exceptional. I'm looking at way too early odds for the Stanley Cup for next season. The Oilers and the Panthers back at the top of that list in terms of teams who they think have the best odds. You got teams like the Hurricanes in the East. You also have out of the East the Lightning, the Devils. In the East, who can actually compete with this Florida Panthers team if they get a good majority of this roster back, or they build a team and they obviously still have this same vibe of how they're going to keep going on here? Who challenges Florida next year?
You always think about Tampa. They've got so many great players, and obviously John Cooper is one of the best coaches that the NHL has seen in a long time. But Tampa, a lot of us said down here, whoever came out of that first round series between Florida and Tampa is probably going to end up in the Cup final. It's just, between you got Vasilevsky, Braden Point, Nikita Kucherov, you add Jake Gensel to that mix. It's been really cool to just see the rivalry grow between the two teams. Thinking back to this year's playoff, I mean, the only team that beat Florida 3 times in a series was the Toronto Maple Leafs. They gave Florida a really good run for their money. They were this close if they overtime in Game 3 from going up 3-0 in that series over the Panthers, and who knows what would have happened at that point. So. It's interesting just because they're all in the same division. And then you've got teams like the Ottawa Senators, who are certainly a rising team. The Washington Capitals looked great this year during the regular season. With what Ovechkin did, it was just a lot of fun to keep track of. So, I think the East might be a little bit more open in terms of below the Panthers than the West, just because the West is just so competitive, really top to bottom. It's so much fun. But I'm just, team year over year, you never know, because 2 years ago, Tampa Bay was maybe not looking as good as they are now. They retooled a little bit. Toronto maybe losing one of their best players. We don't know how that's going to play out. So it's hard to start evaluating for next season until we see how the offseason plays out. But there's certainly going to be plenty of teams that are looking to knock Florida off the mountaintop.
I can't imagine what that celebration was like around town last night, but it sounds like it got a little too ruckus because someone cracked and dented the Stanley Cup. Is this true?
I think this is becoming an annual thing. Like every year something happens to the cup.
It's too big of a cup to not dent a little bit. Come on.
Yeah, these are grown men that are celebrating, the time of their lives. Like I think nobody seems to get too worried about it. I think they were more upset when they brought the cup into the ocean last year than when it gets dented. I think it's no harm, no foul. There was a big dent in the bottom. I think that the top of the cup got chipped So they're going to have to take care a little bit, but it's all nobody's trying to hurt the Cup, and I think the Cup keepers are fully aware of how much stress and what kind of beating it can take. And the Cup's been around for a while. It's tough. I'm sure it can take it.
It's probably fitting that a hockey trophy gets banged up a little bit, and it's just fine, right?
Come on, yeah, it's got a history.
Hockey players all have teeth missing, so it made sense that the Cup would have some cosmetic work done. It falls perfectly in line.
I did watch a thing one time where they kind of went through and showed like all of the different it wasn't even just like spelling errors or anything like that. It was like it's the kind of thing where you drive by your local favorite fast food restaurant and they don't have any S's, so they use the dollar sign. There's a lot of instances of that on the Cup over the decades and decades and decades of names that so many are now lost to the lore of.
There's no better trophy in sport.
There cannot be. So, what about out of the West? If you start to look at it, and we of course have that mammoth kind of look at things, but for a lot of us, we look and we say, "Hey, there's no way that this market wants to stay out of the playoffs another year." We just don't know where they are in that process exactly of rebuilding, and the West is and the Central Division is a very difficult place to compete.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Utah only missed the playoffs, I think, by like 6 or 7 points, and they were right in it till the end. And that's a team, first, they're really trying to build an identity right now. They had a great young core that they were able to come out of Arizona. So I wouldn't have any reason to think why Utah wouldn't be within the playoff conversation, even in that tough Central Division, because, Dallas was great this year, but we don't know what they're going to be. They're going to have a new coach. It's never an easy thing to do. Colorado Avalanche, that's an interesting situation because they could be a team that can hit the ground running next year with a healthy now Gabriel Landeskog, which with Mackenzie Blackwood in goal, who was it's exceptionally good for them this season after they traded for him from San Jose. It's a fun division to see play out. And then, obviously you've got the beasts out west, whether it's Vegas, whether it's Edmonton, the Kings, right? We all thought they were taking the Oilers out in the first round. They could be another team that could take a step forward next season. That's why, like I said before, the West is just so fun for me because it's so wide open. There's so many good teams and good players, and they all seem to hate each other so much that it just makes for great hockey.
You talk to a lot of people in the league. What's the feeling about the offseason? How much action could there be? Pretty decent free agent list. Not sure how many are going to move, but what's the expectation early on of what could happen and how much a deal here or a deal there could move the balance of power?
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes the offseason fun. I mean, Mitch Marner's obviously a big chip. Sam Bennett, whatever he ends up doing is something that everybody's keeping an eye on. But every team's looking to get better. Every team's looking to pick up some kind of an edge at this point. It's going to be interesting this year also to see how things play out with the draft and with trades in that regard, just because this is the first year they're doing the decentralized draft, and all the GMs and everything won't be under the same roof. They'll be at their respective team headquarters and everything like they do in the NFL. So is that going to impact? Could we see more trades, less trades, because they're going to have a lot more privacy and ability to kind of work and do their own thing? So I'm very, very curious and a little bit anxious just to see how it plays out, because the offseason's always fun, but anytime you throw a wrench into the gears and make things a little non-traditional, you never know what could happen.
Dave Dwork, he covers the Panthers for the Hockey News. You can go check out his byline there, and you can just see. Obviously, it's a good time to cover this team, Dave, and we appreciate you jumping in the program again. And we're looking forward to another offseason of some excitement, and we'll chat with you again as the season gets closer here, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, guys. Anytime, happy to do it.
There you go, Dave Dwork. That's a fun thing to do, isn't it? He's probably glad he didn't have to take that return trip over to.
Oh, are you kidding me? A one-game trip to Edmonton? Look, I love Alberta, but no thanks.
Nobody loves Alberta. What are you, Greg Wrubell? Get out of here. Oh, I love Alberta. Come on.
Just sounded like the right thing to say.
You're like, come on, man. Oh, look. If we're talking about places that you look around and you go, because last year didn't they have that lady in the stands? Didn't they have the lady in the stands with the shirt? She got famous.
Yes, they did.
She made herself famous for a day.
You care to elaborate on why?
She just loves Alberta. Okay.
And Alberta loves her.
So I was thinking to myself, Miami's a crazy place. Sunrise is a little different because it's not right there. It's not like
Suburbs,
Miami, yeah. But I'm telling you, like, the fan base there is bonkers. You can't tell me that the fans in Edmonton are less fans than the people in Florida.
Oh, no.
Like, that,
hockey is life up there.
It's the most important thing. And so you saw how that stadium erupted when they got that game winner in overtime. They got a couple game winners in overtime, it feels like. But when they were humming, man. And so to have it ripped out, this is a conversation I was having with one of my friends last time. I was like, there's no way you can just keep going year in and year out and just getting your butt handed to you. And you have legitimately one of the best teams that's been put together. And he said it. He goes, dude, and this is a conversation we had yesterday even too. It's like, get out of the way. Michael Jordan's winning championships.
Yeah.
The Utah Jazz are part of that history of that's a really good team.
Just another victim.
And they were.
Mm-hmm.
And you forget about all the teams because of the greatness of what MJ was doing. They're doing the same. It's similar to what they're experiencing right now. The team in Florida is so good that they're good enough to just be like, oh, yeah, you guys do have the two best players in the world right now on your team, and it doesn't matter. Like, you're just another victim along the way.
The Oilers feel like the Bills right now.
The 90s Bills?
Yeah.
0-4-4? But
those Bills teams were,
phenomenal. Jim Kelly.
Thurman Thomas.
Yes.
They were loaded.
Marv Levy. Come on.
They were there every year, but some other team took it to them every single year. They just happened to meet up with the Dallas Cowboys dynasty.
But see, so they lost 3 of those to the Cowboys.
Well,
no, two to the Cowboys, 1 to the 49ers, 1 to the Giants. And
one of the Washington franchise.
No, I thought
whose
it was
name I cannot say.
Was it?
Yeah. Giants, they lost to Norwood.
Yeah. Wide right.
And then they lost to the Washington the next year, and then they lost 2 straight to the Cowboys.
All right. I'm getting my...
I'm trying. I don't want to bring up why I know that.
Okay.
As a Denver Broncos fan, I don't want to bring up why I know that.
Okay. All right.
It was the Broncos that lost
the Cowboys,
to the 49ers.
Because the Cowboys... they did?
Badly.
No, yeah, I forgot.
That was the end of that era of Broncos going to the Super Bowl.
Hey, Steve Young. Oh, yeah, because in the middle of all that, you had... Joe Montana, you have Steve Young. Steve Young got the monkey off the back with the Chargers in 94.
95, yeah.
95. Yep. So.
You're right. Yeah, the 94 season.
I'm glad we went down that weird thing. All I'm saying is, man, I love Alberta. This time of year, beautiful. All right, well, what's funny about that is I'm actually going to be in Alberta next week now that I think about it.
They have bears in Alberta, so watch out.
Sorry, Canada. I'm trying to diss on you. All right. We'll take the break. We'll come back. We've got more around the corner. By the way, if you want to get your product featured right here on this very program, JJ and I want to be able to help you with that. How do we do it? Well, you just text us the letters JJ to 57500, and our sales staff will get a hold of you, and you can have your product featured. Look, just ask them how it works and see how we can make your business or your company or your product fly. Let's do it. Just go to just send a text, JJ, to 57500, and we'll have you on JJ and Alex as our next great victory of a company who does an awesome job advertising with us, and then we pump your product up, man. It's awesome. So go check it out.
We have a lot of clients that we've helped, and you can be the next one.
Let's go. JJ to 57500. We will come back. We've got more to go when we return, so stay here. Around the corner, we've got ourselves a couple fun things to talk about. Oh, we got fights in the WNBA. That's one way to get me to watch. Stay here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex. Presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Muscling away.
I mean, is that displacement? I think it is.
Oh, and Marina Mabry's going to get ejected. If the officials saw that, Marina Mabry is going to get ejected.
So they're going to go and look at it.
Hey, good hands by Allen. But Sheldon comes up with the steal. Sheldon going coast to coast. And here we got another break is here as J.C. Sheldon goes right after Sophie Cunningham. It was a hard foul, no question.
Mabry. That's a flagrant foul. It's a hard foul. You could say it's a play on the ball, but
Shocker, the WNBA, JJ, has announced that none of the players involved in the skirmishes last night are going to get ejected. You know why?
Because they just made the WNBA a lot of money?
But not only that, you know why? You kick a couple of them out, you probably have to at least consider suspending Caitlin Clark maybe for the shoves back and forth. Why not?
She didn't throw a punch.
No. But you're in that, and you're not going to suspend Caitlin Clark, though.
No.
You're not going to. I'm telling you, you and I talked about this. We watched the video a couple times, went back and forth. What's going on here? The referees did not have control of that situation. They didn't even know what to call. Today, the WNBA had to come out and say, yeah, it's a flagrant 2 on this one. You cannot, you can't body slam basically a player and then not get a foul to go along with it. So it was the best thing. This is terrible. This is awful. This is not how you want to build your league. But it helps. Right?
We're talking about it on the radio right now.
We never would.
Probably not.
Like, I say never. That's not, I'm not saying that because we don't, it's not
If it was
interesting
if
to
it was the
mainstream
Utah
audience.
Sun or the Utah Fever, we'd probably mention them a little bit more. But it's not. But Caitlin Clark is a superstar. And what we watched last night was incredibly intriguing.
Yeah. And it has brought, the WNBA has had phenomenal players over the past, 15 years that are very recognizable people. And I'm not, listen, Seattle loves the rain, I guess. Are they still that? I don't know if they're that anymore. But Sue Bird, we were there we were there last year, I think, before her retirement, and they flew
Seattle Storm.
Yeah, and before that it was the rain. And what they did was they flew this Sue Bird flag on top of the space when she announced her retirement, and I was like, that's pretty darn cool. And honestly, that town has embraced their WNBA team. There are a lot of towns, obviously, Indiana's loving it because the Pacers are in the finals. They're selling out the games that Caitlin Clark is in with the Fever in town. They won this game, by the way, by almost 20, but that's not what people are talking about. And that's part of the issue that some of the people who are advocates for the league are like, you didn't even care about what the game turned out to be. You just, fighting was the only thing that was important.
They clinched a spot in the Commissioner's Cup.
So,
but no one's talking about that, are they?
Because then I'll have to explain what the Commissioner's Cup is.
We're talking about a fight.
We're talking about a fight. And you know what? Doesn't hurt. And I'm not saying this was a plant, this was anything. But Caitlin Clark as this protagonist, and then all these players coming in and showing up as the heels. I mean, it was a very WWE moment last night. There's a reason we like that back and forth, a little bit of intrigue, a little bit of violence on there. we are. This is the closest to mainstream. Like I said, my point was with all this is the closest to mainstream that I've ever seen the WNBA. Is just in the last, and it's not even just the last couple of years. Obviously, Caitlin Clark coming into the league. They've had phenomenal players coming into the league before.
Oh, yeah, sure.
At her level of talent, by the way. She does it a little bit different.
How many of them make threes from the logo?
That's the thing is she's kind of the Steph Curry of of their league.
A lot of people are calling her the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. I think that's a little strong. I think Steph Curry is actually relevant because of the style of play she has.
She's
is very
changed
similar
the
to
way.
his.
You don't think girls are going to be hitting threes from logos now in their local gyms to try to be the next? And guess what? You're going to end up getting the next one, right? Yeah. And that's why. And that's
in
why
the past the game was dominated by tall women.
Yes, and
then you had Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird come along, but now you have the best player in the league and the most interesting player in the league is knocking down logo threes. It's a new thing, and it's got us watching. And it's drumming up interest for the league. This is part of the evolution of this league. It takes a long time.
It's a weird thing to try to balance, too, because poor Caitlin Clark is in that press conference last night afterward, and they're asking about the fight, and she's like, I thought we were talking about basketball. And it's like, yeah, we are, but can you answer a couple of these questions? So the league's in an awkward thing because you don't want to just be like,
wow.
Yeah, we're going to create some weird tension between Angel Reese and I. That's kind of a weird thing to try to create tension with because there's such a disparity of what their roles are on their teams, how good their teams are, how many points one person scores versus another. It's not like they match up against one another.
Rarely.
So now, last night, the back and forth, it's a level. By the way, JJ, this is why we get into I don't care what the gender is of the sport. This is why, like,
be interesting.
We tune
interesting.
In. You know, the bench is clear. And I'm not saying that's a formula to try to make your league. It's a cheap thing to do. You're not teaching the kids to go out there and do this. In the end, it's a little bit of a shame because the basketball gets covered up by this, right? It's the
league needs to improve its officiating, which is why this all happened in the first place.
Oh, yeah. The refs
they lost
were
control
out
of the
control.
game.
Yeah, they had no idea how to handle it, and then the league had to step in today and then go through and say, oh, actually you got to do X, Y, and Z, and we'll make this thing happen. Anyway, what I'm saying is that was pretty fun to wake up to today and to see. I mean, it was everywhere. There was nowhere on any social media platform that you could have avoided this.
I showed it on the 10 o'clock news last night.
It was phenomenal.
You know what? A lot of people that love women's basketball, the WNBA, may not like that, but it's a win for the league because people are talking about it today.
Yep.
And you know what else is cool? Sophie Cunningham, her jersey sold out following the ejection.
Wow. Did she it was kind of a weird interaction because it was like bump, 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 then the foul, and then the smack. It kind of like a face, like they both kind of did this thing at each other. Get out of my face. Then the other gal comes over and just absolutely bodies Caitlin Clark to the ground.
But what you have here is you have now this star player in the league who you can't deny it is the most important player in the league now because of the interest that she's bringing to the league. But now you have a team standing up for her.
But how do you create long-term relatability to the league? How do you create long-term excitement about this?
The same way the NBA did it.
You can't tune up a...
Were people watching the NBA in the 70s? It was on tape delay. Nobody cared.
And then it's like, hey, you know what we're going to need right here, Commissioner? And you're not going to like this, but hear me out. And I've already got a name for it. We'll call it the Malice in the Palace. Yeah, that's what they want.
You know what? You joke, but have you watched 80s basketball?
Oh, and in particular...
In early 90s basketball? Did you see what Karl Malone did to Isaiah Thomas's face?
At that building.
Did you see Kurt Rambis get taken out going up at the rim? Like, there used to be fights all the time. Danny Ainge was involved in brawls in the 80s.
When did the guy get hit with the chair? Do you remember that one?
Oh, man, I don't know.
That was Some guy came on the court.
There were plenty of fights in the NBA in the 80s. The 70s were wild. Like, just stuff happened. It's part of the evolution of your league and your product. The WNBA is relatively young. This is all part of its evolution. All of it will make the league better. It will get better because of this. The officiating will get better because of this because the league recognizes they got to protect their players. You can't have somebody like poking Caitlin Clark in the eye and body slamming her. That was a little strong. She didn't body slam her, but
I mean,
that was a pretty solid chest bump.
No, and like when you watch it in real time, it was stark. It was like boom,
it was
boom.
very physical.
It was boom, boom.
It was very physical. But you know what? It was fun. The league may not like it. Hardcore WNBA fans may not like it because we're talking about the wrong thing right now, but at least we're talking about it.
All right. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Hey, when we return, guess what I've got? I got tickets to the Monster Jam World Final that's coming up next. We'll be giving away those tickets. Yes, Monster Jam coming to Rice Cycle Stadium. Don't want to miss it. And we've got tickets to give away for that. You can nominate the U Sports Volunteer, by the way, that for the Hercules Hero of the Week. The way you do it is just go to KSLSports.com/contest, and then you submit that nomination, KSLSports.com/contest, and then we read those winners off, okay? We pick them from all the nominations that we get, and we get awesome ones, and then they get a prize from Hercules Credit Union and Beehive Meals. There you go. KSLSports.com/contest. The top 10 game up next. Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex with the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Happy Wednesday to you. It's a Win Ticket Wednesday. We're celebrating here with you. I did it, JJ. Pulled the trigger. I found myself some tickets to Monster Jam for me and my two younger boys.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You're going to have a blast. So
part of the deal is that, like, this is something, okay, when I was a kid, we used to watch it on TV all the time. Now you can go, the YouTube videos, you can go watch any of this stuff. But the thing was, it was like broadcast on like our ABC affiliate when I was like a kid.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it was back then, it was, you had the monster trucks and you had the trailer pull too. Remember?
Bigfoot and Gravedigger.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Gravedigger's back, dude. So I did it. I pulled the trigger. I got him for July 5th. And it's the World Finals for Monster Jam happening at Rice Eccles Stadium. First time ever the World Finals will come to Salt Lake. Check it out for yourself. You can go to Ticketmaster.com for tickets for yourself on this event. And there are tickets available. So go check it out for yourself. Monster Jam is awesome. You've got to go check it out for yourself. And I've got tickets to give to you right now. 801-575-ZONE. Call in number 12 right now. Gets a pair of tickets to see the Monster Jam World Final, July 4th and 5th at Rice Eccles Stadium, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-9663. Call in number 12. Let's go. Join me and my two boys.
I want to go.
I know, it's so loud. They're so loud. It's awesome. Like, I feel bad for the people around the neighborhood there. Look, they're used to it because it's Rice Eccles Stadium.
There's concerts there.
Yeah, but it's a different sound.
You're right. And a smell, too.
1,400 horsepower. Between 1,400 and 2,000 horsepower, these trucks, by the way.
Pretty cool.
To turn those big old tires. And they're doing double flips in the air and stuff. You got to check it out. Monster Jam coming 4th and 5th to Rice Eccles Stadium. It's the World Final. Go check it out. Let me see here. JJ, it's a top 10 game. Our producer, Alex, he always does this. He chooses to give away tickets now because he knows he's not going to be able to help you out. He's claiming that's not true, but he's on the phone right now.
Yeah, you're not helping out. You're giving away tickets.
All right, so
I'm not going to do well today.
Well, because you're getting people
My brain's not right today.
Oh, you think you're already... My brain's not right. I'm scrambled up here.
I'm already making excuses. It's not a good sign.
So the WNBA today came out and they started doling out...
Now I'm really in trouble.
No, you're fine. It's based off of this conversation. It got me down this other road, and I started thinking about it. Because they gave out flagrant fouls today and technical fouls that they added
retroactively.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So
what's the point? What are we doing?
Just to be able to say
you're essentially telling everybody, our refs did not handle this very well. We had to go back and handle it properly.
Right, and you have to. You got to get it right. So I went back and I looked, and I found the top 10 NBA players on the technical fouls list of all time. The most technical fouls all time.
Okay, and they're all Detroit Pistons from the 90s.
Just 100% Detroit Pistons.
That's where I'm going to start.
Going through Bill Laimbeer.
Yeah.
Come on. All right, so without further ado, 60 seconds you've got.
Okay.
The most technical fouls in the history of the NBA over a career. Ready? And wait, hold on. Let me do something. Don't start it yet. Hold on, because I have I've got a bigger list too. And I wanted to make sure I brought it up because there's going to be some that I know that...
this does not include coaches. This is just players.
No, just players. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
I got to make sure I'm sorry for the delay because I just wanted to make sure I got because I have a long, older list, and then I've got like the most updated one right here. So, all right, here we go. Without further ado, and where did it go? Hold on, stand by. And... go.
Draymond Green, Bill Laimbeer. Draymond Green and Bill Laimbeer aren't on there? Oh, my gosh.
You've got some
Dennis Rodman.
Ding!
Okay. Oh, where do I go from here? I mean, Charles Oakley. Oh, wow.
I'm gonna say something though.
Michael Jordan. Scottie Pippen. Man, who's somebody who got in a lot of trouble that's... and Dennis,
I would encourage you to also think long careers too.
Okay. So, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Luka Doncic. Jeez. What are we doing here? Like, how are these guys I've mentioned not on the list?
Alex, you don't want to say one name, huh?
He's got nothing. This is bad. Draymond Green's not on there? How is he not on there?
Why is it so funny? Why is it so funny to watch you do this?
Who's left?
Time.
Okay, I'm dying to hear who's on this list.
Who'd you get? Dennis Rodman?
Not many.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman. The problem is you yelled out Draymond, and as soon as I said no, and then you said
I was rattled.
Then you're like, okay, those are the two worst people in the history of the game.
You rattled me.
How are they not on the list? All right, here's your top 10. I'll give you number 11 first. Kevin Garnett, number 11.
Really?
172 technical fouls in his career. Dwight Howard, 10 at 178. Now, go back and think of dirtbag New York Knicks.
Anthony Mason?
Anthony Mason, 192.
I did Charles Oakley. I should have done Anthony Mason.
I was like, go down that road.
Rest in peace, Anthony
right.
Mason.
So 192 technical fouls to Anthony Mason. Russell Westbrook with 198.
Ooh, yeah. No, yeah. I should have thought of him.
This one was a shock to me, but kind of not. Number 7 with 199 technical fouls in his career, Dirk Nowitzki.
What?
Yeah. I thought the same thing.
I never would have guessed Dirk.
Me too. Guess who's right in front of, or guess who's, sorry, not number 7. That would be, oh yeah, no, it was. Number 6 on the list is Dennis Rodman.
Yes.
212.
I got him.
The glove. Gary Payton with 250.
Gary Payton. He was mouthy.
Okay, now we start to get into historic numbers. Into the 300s. So Gary Payton was number 4 at 250. Okay? Historic numbers, 317 technical fouls. Next on the list, Rasheed Wallace. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that's a long career of being rough out
that
there in the
checks.
court. Okay.
That makes sense.
You're going to kick yourself on this one. 329 career technical fouls, Charles Barkley.
Oh, yes.
Number 1 on the career technical fouls list. You're really going to kick yourself. 332 technical fouls, Karl Malone.
Karl Malone is the all-time leader in technical fouls?
Technical fouls in the NBA, Karl Malone.
I had no idea.
I didn't either.
I'm blown away.
I thought for sure it'd be something.
How did I not know that?
I don't know. It's an amazing stat. 332 technical fouls in his career.
That's why they built the statue.
He's also got the most in playoff history. So
of course,
the
mailman really did deliver, didn't he?
He's a bruiser.
I had no idea.
Shocked. Okay, there's your top 10 for the day.
Wow.
We got to take the break here. We'll come back. When we return, Krysten Peek's going to join us, NBA draft analyst and Hoops HQ. She's going to dip into the program a little bit today. We're going to talk draft prospects. We're going to talk all sorts of NBA stuff. And, of course, we have the finals that are almost wrapped up. We'll have if there's an update on some injuries, I'd love to know. Stay here, 97.5 VKSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on the Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 VKSL Sports Zone. Happy Wednesday to you. Did we give those tickets away? Okay, we have some people joining me at Monster Jam.
Monster Jam.
The World Final. Salt Lake City, Rice-Eccles Stadium. Come on. There's no way that I'm not going to get awesome dad points, by the way, for
your father of the year.
For the Monster Truck Rally.
Well done, sir.
Okay? Get those monster trucks. They're way better nowadays. It's just like every other sport. It's like, man, everybody can do a double flip now in their
Well,
in their
analytics
big old truck.
have changed monster truck rallies forever.
Advanced analytics for Monster Jam. I love it. Oh, man. Okay. Our program is brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar. Give it a shot for yourself. We're going to jump in right here. We've got the cut, top of the hour. We're going to get to Krysten Peek, NBA draft analyst for Hoops HQ. She, of course, covers everything NBA-wise and will give us some vibes as to what's going on. The rumors of the Ace Bailey, you don't want that guy, right? Let's hit it with the cut here. Let's get right to it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And, of course, Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the program. TRAJANwealth.com for all your trusted local needs in retirement. Trajan Wealth. Krysten Peek joins us on the program. Krysten, thanks for being with us.
Hey, guys. How are you?
We're doing well.
We're planted firmly in lying season. What are we supposed to believe about the Ace Bailey? Like, there's one thing to say, oh, I didn't like the workout that he had. He's not doing workouts, and so that's a problem, and he's fallen off of some teams' boards, or is this also part of the ruse?
It's smoke season. We all have to take it for what it is. I heard about Ace about maybe a week or two ago, and I was wondering who in my little media circuit would be the one to break it. And I knew it would get out at some point, just because, it was just circulating so much. The fact that as of last week, he was refusing workouts. His people in his camp were refusing workouts in his draft range. And now I've been told, he's scheduled a workout with the 76ers. He's done a workout with the Washington Wizards, who are, of course, are at 6. And also has scheduled a workout with the New Orleans Pelicans. So read between the lines in terms of what you want from that. But yeah, Ace Bailey is just a player, tremendous upside. He didn't measure well at the combine. Mm-hmm. He only measured 6'7" without shoes when Rutgers didn't do him any favors and listed him at 6'10" the entire season. So he's about a 6'8" wing. And listen, I am still very high on Ace Bailey in terms of what his upside is. I saw what he did at the high school level. 2 games within his senior year, he put up 40 points and about 15 to 18 rebounds. So he is a bucket getter. I just don't know. He needs to be in the right situation. And so them being very strategic about what teams that he's working out for, or who he's meeting with or going in for, that might play into it a little bit. It's similar to what we saw Jaden Ivey saying, I don't want to be in Sacramento. Point blank, I'm not going to go to Sacramento, and refusing to work out for them. I think that is a little bit of what we're seeing for Ace Bailey.
Interesting. So, yeah, I was going to ask, you've done this for quite a while, and you've talked to a lot of these players, and you know how draft stuff goes, and Skip not doing workouts, and specifically, some guys don't do workouts strategically because maybe there's a guy that plays the same position, but to do it this way, is how odd is that? Can you help give us some understanding of how odd this story is with Ace?
Well, the fact that he has just been, for the entire season, number 3. It's always been Cooper, Dylan, Ace, the entire season. So now that teams are actually being able to meet with him, there were several teams that were able to interview him in Chicago, and the way he's moving in the pre-draft process, we see strategic moves like this, but for a player like Ace, where it's not a foregone conclusion that you are going to be the dude, a guy on a team, and I'm sorry, but they're pissing a lot of teams off in the way they're moving. And so, I've seen it every year. And look, again, I don't know what is smoke. I don't know what the camp is putting out as opposed to maybe Philly really likes him and they're just trying to play the smoke. I don't know, but we're only a week away, but he is definitely someone. He's the hottest name of the draft right now.
The ups and downs. I think it's interesting because you've covered the NBA draft for so long that even you at this point, you're I can't even. Who cares? What people tell me is one thing.
All that matters is a week from tonight.
We've
right?
all been burned. Yes. I can tell you who the first 2 picks are going to be in the draft. Is that good enough? It's hard because these teams don't want to give away what they want. They don't. These players, they have ideas where they want to go too, and their camp have ideas where they want to go, and so. I'm assuming that's what you mean by some of the games that are being played by Ace Bailey. I don't know why these guys, when we start to go through all these things, there is so much money on the line. There's so much guaranteed money that's on the line for these guys. So 1 through, what's the first round? You have guaranteed contracts going to these guys. The second round is, a crazy place where you can pick up not just a role player. Maybe you have a franchise changing guy in there. Maybe that 3rd pick overall ends up being a flop. The Jazz have seen that before. So it's just hard. Has the grading of recruits and the grading of guys, and obviously the numbers shrunk since they've come out of college, has it gotten better, though? Have we been able to analyze guys a little bit better now to guess who's going to be doing well in the NBA in the future?
Absolutely. The fact that the NBA is allowing NBA scouts and executives at more and more high school events. So, for instance, I can remember when Cooper Flagg was playing 15U. So he was 15 years old, and I was sitting with an executive. I was sitting with 2 executives, right? And they said, KP, this is the first time I have ever scouted a player with braces.
Wow.
And that was just a testament to the fact where, the NBA is allowing further and more time for evaluation. And I think that is only going to make the game better. So when we look at not only, expansion in a few years, hopefully, but also NIL has a lot to do with it. Remember, we've seen this is the fewest amount of players that are electing to stay in the draft this year because you can make more money going back to school than on a two-way contract in the second round. And so we're going to see, drafts kind of thinning out and older, more experienced players electing to stay in the draft. So when you look at a player like Micah Peavy, who is a fifth-year senior, there's a lot of value to him, but he's also an older player. I think he's going to be a steal. He's a plug-and-play guy right away, and he might not have been able to get the opportunity if, Boogie Flan stayed in the draft, if a couple other the players that are electing to go back because they are getting a bag in college because of NIL.
People here are very interested in what the Jazz are going to do, obviously, here in Utah. And number 5 pick, if they don't move anywhere, that's where they're going to be selecting. So I wanted to ask you, in the work you've done, have you identified the realistic probabilities of the guys that are going to go in that range that could be the Jazz could be looking at 5? How many are there, and who are those guys?
There's about 4 or 5 players. If you go off best player available for the Jazz. And remember, there's a reason why there are so many teams that circled this draft and next year's draft. Next year's draft is ridiculous as well. So I want to continue to give Jazz fans hope. Yes, you guys have 5.
Everybody needs it. Thank you, Krysten.
But next year's draft, I'm currently in Colorado Springs for the U19 trials, and I'm watching some of the players that are going to be high on draft boards in next year's draft. We're talking about A.J. DiBonsa, who you guys will see a lot of at BYU, Michael Brown Jr. at Louisville. These are also players, but I'm getting ahead of myself. But at 5, yes, there is still some great value. I don't think VJ Edgecombe will be there. I think he'll go either 3 or 4. But, Ace Bailey will be there. I'm not sure about his fit with the Jazz, but I like Jeremiah Fears, the point guard. He's remember, he reclassified, again, similar to Cooper, so he's one of the younger players in the draft. Just a point god, the way he can manipulate the pick and roll. So if the Jazz are willing to be patient for another year and just grow a point guard into the system to play alongside Keontae George, Isaiah Collier, I feel like he can play on and off the ball. He's a great fit. Trey Johnson, I just wrote about this today. He is the best scorer, pure scorer in this draft. Trey and Keontae have played together, that Texas connection in the past in high school. So he'll be there. Con Knipple is another name. He is, from what I've been hearing, killing workouts, very similar to the trajectory that we saw Reed Shepherd take last year. So Con will be another name. And if you want some size, Derek Queen, Kaman Malawach, rim protector, just really very, very solid bigs. There's a lot of options there at 5. And, when the draft lottery fell, I thought the draft was actually going to start at 5. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what the Jazz do.
The Jazz worked out Kaman Malawach. Actually, that was another one of those names that popped up today that we were talking about. But it's just always hard to understand what teams want versus, obviously there's a lot of pressure. The front office just made the hire with Austin Ainge, obviously coming in, and that's a big deal. I mean, they really feel like that putting everybody together like this, and not only that, letting go a couple of high-level scouts too. They made some big shifts. How long does it take a team nowadays to get to the spot where they can be in the conversation to make the playoffs again? Because we're watching 2 teams in the NBA Finals right now who've gone down similar but very different paths at the same time. It's hard to build an NBA team, and it's not a straight line.
Okay, well, don't tell Sam Presti that, because the amount of stories I wrote when they were going through their rebuild process, it took them 3 draft cycles. That's it, to become a playoff contention. Now they're 1 game away from winning the winning the NBA title. If you draft the right players, 3 draft cycles can get you to the Western Conference Finals, to the NBA Finals. Now, remember, it's taken the Detroit Pistons a little bit longer. They started the rebuild process the exact same year as Oklahoma City did. Oklahoma City shot up in the Western Conference. They obviously made the playoffs, consecutively 2 years in a row. And Detroit is now starting to figure it out with the pieces that they've had. But I would say, anywhere from 3 to 4 draft cycles. And what are the Jazz in right now? This is their second or third draft cycle. So this draft matters a lot. I think next year, if you don't hit on this year or next year, there's a drop-off. And we've seen it now in the high school talent coming up. So these next 2 seasons, these next 2 draft cycles are the ones you need to hit on in order to be successful in the rebuild process.
A lot of the mocks I've seen have Trey Johnson going to the Jazz, so I wanted to dig into him a little bit more. What can you tell us about his strengths and weaknesses? What is his ceiling as an NBA player?
He is a bucket getter, and this is a player, he played 1 year at Texas, and the first 2 games of the season, he was putting up numbers reminiscent of Kevin Durant and what he did in his 1 year at Texas, so people were drawing that comparison. He cooled off a little bit, but when you're looking at a pure scorer, you need a basket, you need a bucket at the end of the shot clock, you need something. You need someone to make a play at the end of the game. He is your guy. He's reliable. And it might be a little bit of, similarity with Keontae, because Keontae was very similar in the high school realm as Trey. Trey has a little bit more size to him. But I think what we're learning in the NBA, when you look at Oklahoma City Thunder and what they've built, they have 2 cornerstone centerpieces, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren. And then what do you do? What did Sam Presti do? What did that whole entire organization do? They just went out and they got 6-7 dudes that are efficient on offense and are killer defenders. So when you look at not only the Jazz and Trey Johnson and picking him up, but also the Spurs possibly taking Dylan Harper at number 2, and he would be the 3rd option in the point guard situation. It's now I feel like teams are realizing it doesn't matter. If you have players that can make plays, you find a way and you figure it out. So I like Trey. I like Trey in Salt Lake City and, for the Jazz. And he is a pure scorer, and he's just going to continue to get better.
I know you talk to a lot of people. Are you hearing a lot of buzz about there being a lot of movement on draft day? Is that a possibility? Or are you hearing a lot of that?
Listen, I hear about trades every single year. Every single year. Oh, my gosh, this is going to be the year.
No, this everybody wants to make a move.
And then
so you're skeptical.
And then it just ends up being chalk every single year. It's oh, no, this is the year. Things are going to be taken up. I do think 2 is at play. I do think the Spurs are shopping around the second pick because they know teams that are really, really high on Dylan Harper. But I also know if I know the Spurs the way I think I know the Spurs, it's going to take a lot for them to pass on a guy that is projected to be a mix of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Cade Cunningham and Dylan Harper.
Wow.
So, I think 2's at play. I think there could be a swap between 5 and 7. I think, Brooklyn has 4 first-round picks. I think they could make a play. Yes, I would love that. I love the drama. But do I think it's going to happen? No.
That's a firm no. I appreciate your honesty.
I've seen too many of these.
We'd be let down on draft day otherwise. Thanks for giving us some sense. You said you're in Colorado Springs. You're covering the under-19. Is that correct, the U19?
Yes.
So
I've been here all week.
You've had a nice front row seat watching AJ DeBonsa play there. What are you seeing from him at that camp?
He is a year from now when we do this again and we're talking about the 2026 draft. He is numero uno.
Oh,
okay,
wow.
And
no
people
doubt.
want to say Darren Peterson this, Nate Ament, Cameron Boozer this. What? No. AJ was standing right next to Mark Pope. Mark Pope is 6'10", and AJ was eye to eye with him. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are we looking at a 6'10" shooting guard? This is insane. And I saw him get very, very bored and just, not really enjoy his final season in high school. He was bored. But now that he's playing against college players at this U19 trials where there's things on the line, I mean, in the last 2 minutes, a scrimmage, a simple scrimmage for practice, the last 2 minutes, he had 11 points, and he won the game for his team.
Wow.
So when I'm talking to BYU fans and you're wondering how exciting is it going to be to have AJ in Provo playing at BYU, it's going to be a movie every single night in terms of what he brings to the team and what he can do on the court. It's just, it's unbelievable.
Well, that's exciting for the BYU fans. And then there's the part where...
As if there's not enough hype already.
And then there's the part where he goes another place in the NBA and not to the Utah Jazz. And look, we just know how this thing plays out. You talk about you being experienced on how draft and lotteries play out. We know how it works for Jazz fans and for the Jazz. And so it was a tough one to watch, obviously, this year. But Krysten Peak, she does a phenomenal job, one of the best at covering the NBA draft. Hoops HQ is where you can find her. Krysten, awesome job as usual. Thanks for the insights. And we appreciate getting the eyewitness account there of AJ DeBonce as well.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
There you go.
All right.
Krysten Peak.
Yeah, great info.
Phenomenal stuff. You just got smarter.
Yep.
Listen to that. So it's good stuff.
I can't wait. It's 1 week from tonight. We will know how this is all going to play out. And she tried to temper the expectations, and then she's probably right. But, man, it's fun to think of what could happen on draft night.
Yeah, I've heard it every year. There's never any trades, but number two's a play. Whoa! Settle down. You just bought into it.
She mentioned 5.
I was out.
A swap of 5 and 7, maybe.
I was out. Now I'm back in. All right. By the way, guess whose birthday it is today? Our own Nate Dowdle. Our fearless leader. So happy birthday to Nate. And I hope you get to go home and do more work at home.
Which is probably what he'll do.
It's like, I hope when you leave the building after doing some work, you go home and do some work.
Blows out a candle over a spreadsheet.
That's usually what he does. So happy birthday, Nate Dowdle, our fearless leader. We're going to take a break here. We'll come back. We've got more to go around the corner. Do you have anything else? Any other business we got to take care of? Oh, yeah. We'll take a break. We'll come back. 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Now, JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. We may or may not have been watching Monster Jam highlights on YouTube during the break.
Feel like a kid again.
We're such like 10-year-olds. It's good, man. It's bonkers. All right, hey, listen. Thanks for being a part of the program. We want to make you a part of the program even more so. If you've got a product or a business that you're passionate about, maybe it's your business, maybe it's your brother's business. Say, hey, man, you guys want to get endorsed on the airwaves by JJ and Alex? Let's get it done. Text JJ to 57500. That's JJ to 57500. Sales staff will get a hold of you. They'll tell you how to do it, and we'll tell you how to get that product or business off the ground. And we'll make you a part of the daily show right here on 97.5 VKSL Sports Zone. Just text JJ to 57500. Just ask him how to do it. There you go. Let me see here. The NFL has put together an all-quarter century team. It's crazy that we've already been through a quarter of a century in the 21st century. The all-quarter century team, here's what it looks like. Let's go through some of these quarterbacks. You ready?
Yep.
Tom Brady, overrated. Peyton Manning, and Patrick Mahomes. Those are your three quarterbacks.
Can't argue it.
So the way they did it was they put together basically a 53-man roster.
Yep.
Which I think is a great way to do it. Running backs. Tell
Patrick
me what you
Mahomes
think.
is your third-string quarterback. That's a pretty good team.
Well, he's like, no, I'm just. It was done in alphabetical order, right? Brady, Manning, and Mahomes. Oh no, I guess Manning would have been bad. Yeah, you're right. Third-string quarterback. Third-string quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Now here are your running backs, and this is how you know that we didn't know what to do with running backs in the last quarter century, right?
Yeah.
Priest Holmes is number one. I would not have thought.
Really?
Christian McCaffrey 2, Derrick Henry 3. Practice squad, LaDainian Tomlinson. I would not say practice squad. That's a diss. Come on.
No.
What?
How do you pass on Adrian Peterson and LaDainian Tomlinson for Priest Holmes?
I don't know, but this is a subjective list.
Christian McCaffrey on there's kind of a surprise. Derrick Henry, I get.
Okay, so they picked one fullback because they had to, I guess, because we still do that.
There's only one.
Kyle Juszczyk. There you go. There's only one.
The juice. Kyle Juszczyk.
Juszczyk gets in, and I do think that maybe the fullback is coming back. We don't know.
Why not?
Oh my goodness, where'd my computer screen just go?
Receivers.
Give me the receivers.
Randy Moss.
Got it.
No brainer. Calvin
Perfect.
Johnson. No brainer.
Sure.
Julio Jones.
A long, illustrious career.
Terrell Owens. Yes. T.O. made the list.
How many they pick?
A lot. There's 6 receivers on here.
T.O.
This is a 53-man roster.
T.O. doing
quite a depth chart.
T.O. doing crunches in his front
Yes.
lawn, or
Yes,
one,
that T.O.
the one putting it on the star in the middle
Either
of
one.
All right.
Legend.
Yeah.
In his own mind.
Absolutely.
Marvin Harrison. Makes sense.
Don't hate it.
10,000 receiving yards,
Yeah,
95 receiving touchdowns,
Not
Super
bad.
Bowl champ. Justin Jefferson, young Justin Jefferson, made
Sneaks
the
in.
list.
Yeah, there's some
over Antonio Brown.
Yeah, there's some recency bias there.
allegedly
No.
wanted for
murder. Could it be murder?
That might have hurt his chances.
No, it wasn't murder.
He probably got released from this 53-man roster.
Attempted
Andre
murder.
Johnson was on the practice squad.
Okay.
You pretty good if you got Andre Johnson on your practice squad.
Tight ends. This is great. Any problems with these?
We've had this debate about the best tight end of all
Gronk?
time. Gronk is on there. Travis Kelce, obviously, and Tony Gonzalez. Makes sense.
Those 3 are no-brainers.
Hall of Famer Antonio Gates is on your practice squad.
Left tackles. We'll go through this quickly. Joe Thomas, Trent Williams, perfect, great. Alan Faneca, of course, you knew him playing the vast majority of his career on that Steelers team.
Yeah.
Played with the Jets for a second, and then the Cardinals at the very end of the career. Steve Hutchinson, easy one there too as well.
Oh, yeah.
Jason Kelce, your center. They only picked one center?
One center.
How dare they?
Wow.
Zach Martin. He's not no longer with us, but he's no longer in the league.
He just
announced his retirement, right? 9-time All-Pro, not bad. And Marshall Yanda for the Ravens. Long, illustrious career also, 7-time All-Pro. Lane Johnson at right tackle, Willie Anderson. I'm surprised that they didn't throw in already even a Penei Sewell. Like, we know what he is, right?
He's getting there. Yeah.
Just didn't have enough years under his belt, I guess.
Just not enough yet. This is a good list, though.
Yeah. I mean, how many times has he been All-Pro already? 3?
Yeah, he's only been
He's only been in the league
still
4
young.
years.
I think he's
got 3
not even
All-Pros.
25 yet.
Yeah. All right, now this one's interesting. Your edge rushers: DeMarcus Ware, Jared Allen, Myles Garrett, Julius Peppers.
Yeah, that's a good list. Oof.
No. Here's my
TJ
question.
Watt and Michael
No,
Strahan on the
by
practice
way,
squad?
But do you notice too? There's not even a JJ Watt mention anywhere on any of this.
Could you put TJ ahead of JJ? JJ was a 3-time player of the
Defensive Player of the Year. That's why I'm like wondering why we didn't even get a mention.
Disagree with that. I'd have JJ on that list.
Speaking of guys who won multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards, 3 of them, in fact, he's at the top of the defensive tackles list. He's Aaron
Should be.
Donald.
Might be the best defensive tackle all time.
Oh, look at this. Oh, sorry. Chris Jones also included on that. Did you see Vince Wilfork had to throw in Big Vince Wilfork with the big giant presence in the middle there? You forget. Oh, no, they did. They gave JJ a nod. Do you see what they gave him?
Versatile defensive
What are we
lineman?
talking about here?
What is that?
Oh, the
They cheated.
The VDE. The versatile defensive lineman. Okay, I got you. Nobody knows. Why did they do that? Just take one of the guys off the list.
Yeah. They
Linebackers:
cheated.
Ray Lewis, Bobby Wagner, Brian Urlacher, Levante David, Luke Kuechly.
Bobby Wagner on there. Pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Well deserved.
Give a few more years, and it would have also had Fred Warner on there.
And if Derek Brooks is on your practice squad, you're a pretty good team.
Darrelle Revis, these are your corners. Darrelle Revis, Champ Bailey, Rondé Barber, Richard Sherman, Patrick Peterson. That's a pretty darn good list.
That is.
Safeties, don't at me. Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, Brian Dawkins, and Earl Thomas III. Thank you very much. Legion of Boom.
Charles Woodson on the practice squad.
Ooh.
That's a tough one.
Awkward. Kickers, Justin Tucker. Punters, Shane Leckler. And then your return.
Really use a massage.
Get out of here. Return specialist, Devin Hester. And there you go. Long snappers, congrats, Morgan Cox. You made the list. We read your name on the radio. All right. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. More to go right around the corner. Stay with us. 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Best and worst on the program. Thanks for being with us today, by the way, everybody. Brought to you by the good folks at the Doug Smith family of dealerships. Chevy, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Subaru, Kia, and now Mitsubishi and American Fork. Get with the folks at Doug Smith and get yourself a vehicle, used, new, whatever it is. Nobody knows cars like Doug.
I got with him.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, we love those guys.
Loving the Outlander PHEV. Go get one.
All right, the best of the day is, we didn't get to mention it yesterday, even though it happened yesterday. We had Brian Taylor on with us last week from Real Golf Radio talking about Brian Rolap, who was working in the NFL's front office as basically kind of the third in command.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, yeah, they're bringing him on, and he's going to be and remember, it was some weird title. It was like the chief. He's going to be the chief tour officer. And then now we're looking at it, and after 2 decades of being in the NFL, he's been now named the CEO of the PGA Tour. With the retirement of Commissioner Jay Monahan, Brian Rolap has taken over. BYU grad, and somebody who, frankly, might be running the NFL one day. I don't know. You knew exactly what was happening. But what I was saying about Brian Taylor was, BT goes, yeah, and I think a lot of people think that he might be the guy who's going to take over for Jay Monahan. It took less than a week.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
Slowly, they're saying. Slowly.
So, good for him. Good for him. Listen, Jay Monahan that guy's been through it, man.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be known as the guy.
He's ready to retire and well-deserved.
He was the guy who was, he's going to be known as somebody who advanced the game, but then people are not going to be able to get over the Live PGA split and all that stuff that happened on his watch. The charity 501(c) going
that whole Happy Gilmore thing. The way he handled that.
Yeah. Telling you. Was he on that? Was he in the movie?
No.
Oh, I was going to say. Well, regardless, Happy Gilmore's back.
It flew right over Alex's head.
Do they have a trailer out yet for number 2?
Yes, it is.
Is Bob Barker in it?
I'm worried the movie's going to be a number 2, if you know what I mean. Bob Barker's not in the movie.
Not CGI'd in there.
Oh, hey, they did it for Carrie Fisher in Star Wars. They could do it for Bob Barker and Happy Gilmore too.
For a lot of years, I thought he was no longer with us, and they're like, no, he's 99. I'm like, oh, sorry, Bob. So now I just don't even. I assume he's 114.
He has officially passed.
Oh, okay. Nobody told him because he's in Happy Gilmore, number 2. All right. And then we'll leave it at that. The worst is Tyrese Halliburton might not be playing in Game 6. All right. There you go. I'm just running over that one quickly. We'll come back again around the corner here. Stay with us. 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.